Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monday live stream now in the afternoon for at least several months until I go back to day work again. Um, have uh, Taskmaster here with me, and we're ready to roll. How are you doing today?
Okay, been busy on Leo as always. So a lot of good stuff going on, and shows and threadcasts and threads and blogs and maybe some new features and AI. I mean, just all kinds of good stuff going on. Some in the forefront, some in the background.
And so I was listening to the AMA and the replays of the AMA and the chain chatter from last week.
Mhm.
Just listening to Cal talk about what they have going on and what's coming up. New features. He mentioned, not necessarily replacing the Web 2 apps, but kind of bringing some of those features over here.
Well, uh,
That's my understanding, anyway.
it kind of if if I think what you're talking about, if I'm thinking about it in the proper context. That was in relation to a question which many have asked about creating something similar to Spaces or
Mhm.
something similar to a YouTube stream.
Right, right.
And what Cal has stated on numerous occasions is the amount of time and resources required to build something like that. It doesn't make sense. And he likes to say, especially since Elon, with all his resources, can't get Spaces right, how are we? And so the idea is to really focus on Threadcast as kind of a complement to what people are doing with streaming and things of that nature. And, you know, I think the vision is, at least in Cal's mind, to maybe be a complement to a lot of what people do on Web 2, and that's fine. But personally, the way I see it a little different. And I don't know how it'll evolve, but we have the potentiality with these threadcasts to really target these individual apps. So think about this. You have the photocast. That could, depending on how it's structured on the UI, could be a mini Instagram. I mean, in fact, now you can use it like Instagram. You take selfies, post them on Instagram, post them in the photocast. So that's something simple. And if we start thinking in those contexts, like with the technology, with the movies, with the music, with all these different things, we can start to replicate some of what is taking place there. And then, of course, when this is supplemented by the recommend engine, where if you open up a thread, let's say it's a song, you get a suggestion of other threads. Or if you open up a photo, you get suggestions of other photos. I think that holds enormous potential. And I think it's a bit difficult to see right now because we don't have a lot of the features, and the threadcasts are kind of we're still innovating and still creating with them, and we've had a couple new threadcasts show up. One I'm really excited about was put up by Nancy, I think Nancy
Right,
Dominic.
right. The Ask Leo. Yeah.
Ask Leo. I mean, this is fabulous. This is like a Quora type threadcast, and I think I suggested it weeks and weeks ago. I don't remember, but this is one that is so simple. Anybody who's on Leo could do this. Anybody on Threads could do this. Go in there and ask a question. You can ask a question about anything. Go and ask a question. Go through and answer the questions that are asked. I mean, this is basic stuff. And think about the potentiality of something like that getting 1,000 or 2,000 comments a day, because we know core is huge. And then, of course, that builds because as people start to utilize the For You feed, a question they ask may end up on other people's For You feeds and they get answered. And that's how it grows. And I'm seeing that with my For You feed, that stuff that's appearing there, because it's tied to Threadcast, they have 8 and 10 comments tied to it. That's a pretty good amount of activity for what we have going right now, especially considering you put something on the latest and within 10 or 20 threads being added, that thing's buried and gone forever. So that's how you multiply things. And that's where the For You feed and these recommend engines come in. And there is a recommend engine. We don't need Leo AI for the recommend engine. As we can see with the For You, it's a machine learning engine that's, rather basic, but it's an algorithm that has been improved a little bit over time. And every time I go through my For You feed, I find, 5 to 10 threads that I had not seen that I can instantly comment on. And that's the point. And if you understand how the new leaderboard is going to be structured, there's a lot to this. And this is what people will want to do in the future to get recognition.
Now, I get a question about the For You feed. Is that necessarily just people you're following, or is that people
No,
posting stuff
they're
that's
threads you
related?
engaged in.
Okay.
It's based upon your activity on Leo. Now, part of the algorithm uh, take into account who you follow? I'm sure. But we know the For You feed, premium members are given a little bit of a bump over non-premium members. That's just an example. I can tell you, if you set up a thread cache, you go through your For You feed, you'll see a lot of the responses to your own thread cache because it's engagement with your threads. If you engage in a thread cache heavily, you will start to see that. So there's a lot of different factors feeding into this. And the more that you engage, especially if it's stuff that's identifiable. So, for example, you're always engaging with the stuff by coyotelation relating to sports. Well, anything that has to do with sports will have more likelihood of showing up on your For You feed.
Yeah, I noticed like now since I've been doing the motivation threadcast and I go into YouTube to pull videos, I mean, just there are like a ton of them in there because
Well, yeah, and that's how these recommend engines work. I mean, it's like people always say. I went to YouTube to do some research on air conditioning units, and then all of a sudden I'm bombarded with ads somewhere else on air conditioning units. How do they know? And it's like, this is how these recommend engines operate. They take the data, and many of them are spying on what you're doing on everything, especially if you're doing it on your phone, and they take and process that data. And it's the same thing with the For You feed. I mean, the YouTube engine is probably the one most can identify with. I presume TikTok is probably a bit similar. You just go through and do a search for a few different videos with the same type of search: motivation, success, getting ahead, stuff like that. Your feed will be filled with it. Now, your feed will still have some of the older stuff. Let's say you also look for baseball clips or baseball highlights or movie clips or stuff like that. Some of that will be mixed in, but you'll get bombarded with a lot of the success stuff. And a lot of that older stuff, which may only be 4 days old, gets pushed to the back burner. And then as you start to search that older stuff, okay, I want baseball clips, then that starts taking over. And that's how these things work. And it's the For You feed. And I'm not saying the For You algo is as good as YouTube naturally. It's not. But
Mhm.
Leo AI supposedly, and I don't know exactly how it'll work other than the fact that it's been trained on all the data related to your account, that will take into account the For You feed. So that may also take into account blog posts that you comment on, that if you comment on a Bitcoin blog post, that may then feed in and say, okay, you want more Bitcoin content. So
Yesterday I was looking. We've been looking for new cell phone service, and don't necessarily want to go to the Spectrum, even though it's $25 a month per line, just the way they raise their prices without telling people. Anyway, I was on Coinbase doing something else, and I ran across this helium thing, and apparently they have a cell phone service for $20 a month. And I was done with it. I stopped looking at it. Not only did I get ads in my feed, Roy got ads in his Facebook feed. And he hadn't even been looking up this stuff.
Yeah, well, and again, it's your accounts are probably linked in some way, shape, or form, and you're following each other. I mean, it's that's how this stuff works, and
Mhm.
it's all about the data. And I think on Friday we got Cal on the Lions Den, but the following Friday, I'm going to be talking about Leo from the ground up and why it's a fabulous opportunity, and it's all tied to the same stuff. So again, it's this is where threadcasts are very important. This is one of the reasons why I think this Ask Leo and this threadcast is so important, because you can have such a wide variety of topics discussed and asked and commented on that it really feeds into the AI. Um, the AI wouldn't be very well trained if you're just talking about Bitcoin all day and everybody's just talking about Bitcoin. So it takes a wide variety of data. And that's why when it comes to this AI training, the leaders in this, it's not surprising to see Elon with X, Meta with Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and Google to be some of the leaders in this, because they have that social media data that they can train their models on, that has just such a, not only is it just adding a great deal more content every day, 750,000 hours of videos uploaded and estimated each day to YouTube, and over 500 million threads and comments on X. And I mean, who don't knows how many pictures Instagram and how many Facebook comments or wall comments or whatever. I mean, it's just an enormous amount of data that's fed in about a wide array of topics. And that's the advantage Leo has. And like an Ask Leo threadcast and some of these other threadcasts that people are actually putting text in. And again, we got to remember it's text. It's not so much, it's not learning from the images. I don't think it has that ability. We're not scraping images and we're not scraping video. So that's why if you put the title of the video, at least that's in there. But when you start to post more of this stuff, and maybe at some point they'll be able to scrape the quote off of an image, or the text off a meme. I don't know, but either way, again, it's just a great way to start to add to the foundation of Leo, which will be Leo AI, in my opinion.
So what are we looking for first, do you think? Are we looking for the shorts first, or are we looking for the AI first?
I have no idea of the release schedule. I couldn't even venture a guess. I mean, it's and Leo AI has many different components too. I mean, it's somebody asking. Well, I won't even answer it when we get into questions. I'll just leave it at. I'll answer that part when we get to that question, because it's in the threadcast. The point being, I don't know. I mean, it's just that's a question asked tomorrow, I guess. Maybe we'll get an update as soon as possible. Is, I think, the answer.
Okay.
I mean, Cal would love nothing more than roll both of them out at the same time, but I just think I mean, the videos, it seems all 3 speak videos through Leo AI. When you look at them in Leo AI, they show up as double, both on threads and on blog posts. So I don't know. They got technical challenges, I guess.
Okay. We want to hit the questions.
Sure. Yeah, I can't read that, so I don't know what the comments are, what questions were.
Okay. Well, the first one's from Kayla. Leo AI all the way. Advertisement time from Sunseeker. Jump in here. VSC Network, the Road to High Fest threadcast. And then Ahmad Manga. YouTube's algorithm is very smart at giving you a good balance between topics you searched about recently, old stuff, and trending worldwide.
There you have it.
And from Wananda, it feels good to be streaming on the Threadcast and at the same time commenting. I love having a big screen in front of me. This is why I don't do anything on my phone. I wouldn't have this on my phone.
I can't see it on my computer anyway, so I need to hook into my freaking television to see it. But anyway, yeah, I mean it's this is something, and I'm glad you did it. I mean, and we can't do it with Spaces, and I don't know if you can do it with Twitch, but this is a lesson. You can see how in this threadcast, Lisa put the feed, the stream, the YouTube stream in the threadcast. So you can kind of have that and be engaging in the threadcast at the same time. This turns us into instant multimedia. Now, granted, we're limited to YouTube at this point in time. Cal has talked about trying to get stuff done with Twitch. I guess that's big. I don't know. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know much about that. But other things would be great too. But for now, at least we know we can use YouTube and put it right in the initial thread, and it's right there for everybody to watch.
And yeah, this morning when I was setting this up, I found out I can only live stream now on YouTube and on Facebook. Elon wants you to have a premium account and pay for it now. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, well, and you know, I mean that's the way of the future. Elon is doing an exceptionally smart thing, and Cal is following and copying it, and it's not much different than what Bezos did with Amazon. You build the value into premium, and that's what we're doing. And so, uh, I won't answer that question because I know it's a question, so I won't comment. But
Okay.
there's no premium, but that's the point is keep building it in. So
Okay. Yeah, when I let's see. Glad someone actually made the Ask on Leo threadcast. I was considering it myself when Tass suggested it, but I knew I won't be available every day.
yeah, I hope she keeps posting every day. Actually, I think right now she's posting it twice a day because, of course, Threadcast only stay at the top for 12 hours. So that's a very interesting approach. Um, but yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys know anything about the new streaming swaps on Maya Protocol?
No, I mean it's just other than what they've said, how it'll do it'll make it's a lot more efficient when you're doing your buying through Leo Dex and well through Maya. So I don't know when it's going live. I don't know the particulars of it. A lot of the particulars, from what I understand, are technical details. So who cares? It'll close the spread when you're doing a buy and sell on Leo Dex, is my understanding.
That was from Tokenized Society, by the way. Kayla Marvel. Oh, the show will be starting in less than an hour. All right. Tiago. Yesterday, I managed to encourage my wife to return to Hive after 5 years. She is determined to attend INLEO, but we know it's very difficult to bring new people outside of Hive. Can Threadcast be a great way to bring engagement to these new users?
Well, yes, as I've said all along, and I even replied to this one. This is why I like the Ask Leo threadcast. Anybody can do it. And so this is a good one to get filled up. And see, when you start to bring in the idea of people from the outside, this is where I go back to the same thing I've said forever. If you have nothing going on, it doesn't matter how many people you bring in from the outside, they're going to leave. And threadcasts that are active have the potentiality, certainly, to help engagement. And I have a most recent example. I was on Threads last night, and it was probably about 10 o'clock my time. Nigerians were asleep, and there were, and I was working in Threadcast, so I wasn't on the main page. And there
Mm-hmm.
were like 15 minutes between threads on the main page. Now, if somebody new jumps in at that time, I mean, that's horrible.
Uh-huh.
So the idea is everybody talks more users. Well, yes, but if the user sees dead stuff, it's not going to happen. And this is the point when I talk about the numbers, when I talk about engagement, when I talk about these threads. You see threads go up. If you put a thread in the latest, scroll down, after about 10 threads, 15 threads, it's gone forever. But if you go looking for that thread a half hour later, and if you have the patience to dig all the way down to find it, you'll see there's hardly any engagement because it's buried.
Uh-huh.
This is my point in the threadcast. When I see this stuff that's from a threadcast on my For You feed, and a specialized threadcast, not so much stuff from an AMA or the Lions Den or something like this where it's related to a broadcast. But when I
Mm-hmm.
see something in the photography, when I see something tied to technology, when I see something from these different threadcasts that the ones who set up the threadcasts are interacting with, and the sports and stuff like that, or the Ask Leo, as I said, 8, 10, 12 comments underneath. Why? Because people go back and forth and you get engagement. So that's what we need to see. So if somebody throws up a question in an Ask Leo, let's say, and they're relatively new, maybe not new to Hive, but maybe they're new to Threads and they're just poking around and they've been
Mm-hmm.
around here a while and they get involved because somebody who's in Ask Leo tagged them and said, hey, you want to join this and get in here every day. And then all of a sudden that person asks a question and they get eight responses. It's like, wow, you know,
Uh-huh.
these are some of the things that you look at and that not only enhance the numbers, but it gives a lot more opportunity. And how hard is it for each and every one of us to go into like that threadcast and see questions like, what's your favorite season? you know, well, I like winter. I like spring. I mean, anybody can answer that. What's your favorite form of exercise? Is it lifting weights? Is it walking? What is it? Anybody can answer that.
Uh-huh.
Uh, these are simple questions that people can answer and engage with and start a back and forth with some people. And then with the upvotes, I mean, I gave eToro blog, I think that's her name. I don't know. I probably gave her 20 upvotes this morning. I mean, it just, you get in these things and that's what happens. So, um, take advantage of them.
Okay, how to bring more people both in and out of Hive. I'm not sure what that exactly means. What can we do to encourage more people to create more threadcasts? I'm not
Well,
sure.
I mean, I don't know if it's creating more threadcasts. I mean, hitting up reasonable topics. I mean, as I've said, how come there's no crypto threadcast? I mean, a crypto threadcast is a no-brainer. If you're not setting up a threadcast in your premium, and you can do it every day. Set up a crypto threadcast. That's a no-brainer. But there's still a lot of topics not covered. Finance is another one. Although that could be tied to crypto, you could do crypto finance together if you want. Uh, but I think it's more important to get more people using the Threadcast instead of just setting up more and more Threadcasts. Yeah, it's great if we have 50 or 70 Threadcasts a day, but if nobody's using them, if somebody's setting them up and just putting up bullshit threads just to get it up to the top of the page, that's not of much benefit. So
Mm-mm.
how do we get more people going into Lucille's news threadcast? How do we get more people into the motivation success threadcast? How do we get more people into the Ask Leo threadcast? And this is where I think people get in the habit of going into these different threadcasts and adding a couple comments, a couple questions, a couple responses, whatever it is, that'll help. And if you get lots of people doing that, and then if people check their notifications and answer the replies that they get, then all of a sudden you see these numbers explode. Then all of a sudden you see the activity explode. And again, the Ask Leo, one of the reasons why I'm glad to see somebody took that initiative on, is how simple it is. You can ask questions about Leo. You can ask questions about Hive. You can ask questions about politics. You can ask questions about other countries, about cooking, about success, about life in general, about geography, about history, about anything you can think of. You can ask a question. Do you know how to change a carburetor on a 57 Chevy? You might not get a lot of engagement in that, but you can ask that question.
Instead of asking Alexa, ask Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will only premium users be able to use Leo AI when it's launched? Is that the one?
Well, it depends on what the launch is. My understanding is there's two separate components to Leo AI. And so keep them in mind. When you talk about the aid to your posting, that will be available to everybody. When it comes to Leo AI being tied to your For You feed and any recommend engines that are created, that is available to everybody. So that will require no premium membership. If you want to utilize Leo AI in a manner similar to ChatGPT, and you want to go in and prompt something, and you want to find out code, and you want to find out who won the War of 1812, that will require premium. That's going to require premium to be like a ChatGPT.
Okay.
Because there you're using, and I say ChatGPT because I believe that's the model they're tied into. That has a cost to it. So every time you prompt ChatGPT, there's a cost to it. So what you want is you want to structure it, and how they are structured in a way that can be reasonably covered, or at least get people buying into Leo to do that. And that's by using, premium, and then you got to use your premium, which, by the way, is a great value add, because now instead of paying ChatGPT $10 a month, and granted, or $20 a month, there's people who still pay that because ChatGPT offers a lot more than Leo AI will. But spend 10 HBD for everything that's already included in Leo AI, and then you get that. So the answer is, it depends on what features you're looking for as to requiring premium and not requiring premium.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, like Kale said I think it was a chain chatter. It costs money to run this stuff. I mean,
Yes.
It doesn't.
Yes, this stuff is not free, and it's not cheap.
I mean, I feel like we're doing really good getting what we get for what we're. I mean, come on, that's.
Well, see, the problem is people are so used to being handed everything for free. It's like, well, Twitter, Facebook doesn't charge. Google doesn't charge. And it's like, yeah, that's why they give it away for free. It's a freemium model. You give them all your data. They use all your data. They sell your data. And you complain about them stealing your data, which they're not stealing anything. You freely give it to them. You check. You opt to upload a video there, and you opt to go on to Facebook or Instagram. But it's not free. There's a cost to this. There's a cost to run these networks. There's a cost to storage. And this is where people say, well, it's all free. No, it's not. It's just, if they're not charging you, they're monetizing in some other way.
There's a cost. There's no free lunch anywhere.
Yeah, the other way is, going and buying servers costs money. Rent servers from AWS costs money. However you're doing it. Cal set up an image server. Well, guess what? There's a bill that comes with that. That's not free. And so every time you say, oh, I want to upload a picture, and it's not work, well, would you like to be charged each time you upload a picture? And it's like, this is stuff you have to understand. There's a cost to run in these networks, and the cost is borne by somebody. Web 2, the traditional model is give it away for free and make it up by grabbing the data and selling the data. Or now grabbing the data and feeding our AI engines. And that's what they do. And people get pissed off about that. Well, it's like, would you rather charge? And so now Elon's saying, okay, if you want to use this feature, it costs us money, you got to be premium. And people get all bent out of shape. And it's like, and I'm not defending Elon. I mean, go look at Twitter account. I don't pay Elon any money. I'm not going to pay Elon any money because I don't use X. But I gladly pay for Leo Premium under two accounts, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I do believe Cal will keep adding more value to Leo Premium above and beyond our 10 HBD, because he's mentioned it. I've written about it. It's, like when I study digital uh, models, this is basic. Amazon Prime is the king. Why? Because you're a horse's ass if you use Amazon and you don't have Prime membership. I mean, I don't have Prime membership, but I don't use Amazon. But he does, and he says, it's just stupid not to have it. It's, $120 or $150 a year, whatever
Yeah,
the hell they
it's like 140 now. But still, I mean, you're getting all that content on it.
You get the movies, you get free shipping, you get 2-day shipping, same day shipping, depending on what it is. And I mean,
Yesterday,
all kinds of stuff. And it's the same thing with Leo Premium. The goal is where if you could conceivably afford it, you're going to have premium because you're foolish not to. And that's the idea, to build it in. And so then if you have 1,000 premium members spending 10 HBD a month, that's basically $10,000 buying Leo and putting in the liquidity pool. That's the goal.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, yesterday with Amazon, I ordered Roy some Lipton tea, and we got it yesterday afternoon. I ordered it in the morning. We got, for some reason, they had something going on where they were doing same day deliveries. I'm like, oh, sweet. And he's like, yeah, don't count on it. We're not going to get it today. I'm like, look, we got it. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense not to, if you're going to, we use Amazon a lot. We order from Amazon pretty much. And my sister orders, and I have it sent up to her. But anyway, so let's see. How can we use Leo AI to our advantage within Leo?
Well, you can't now because it's not out. But
Right.
what it's going to be able to do, from what I understand, is there will be a client that assists you in giving you recommendations based upon being trained on all your articles, maybe of things that can improve your articles, can improve the SEO, can improve some of the things you've done, can help you with your grammar, I would imagine. And then also when it gets to the point of where you can use the chatbot, you can use it for research, you can use it for gathering content, making images, thumbnails, images for your articles. I mean, it's just, we're at such an early stage with AI that the more that you as an individual get accustomed to AI and what it offers, the more over time Leo AI, I would presume, will be a benefit to you, because it's going to keep improving over time. And much like we talked about with Maya and Leo Dex, where, like, Tokenized asked about streaming swaps. That's nothing to do with Leo Dex. Leo Dex just has to incorporate that into it is, or the collateralization for loans. Once that's built, all Leo Dex has to do is put it in their interface. Maya is the one building that. So anything Maya does improves Leo Dex. Anything that OpenAI does to ChatGPT within the ChatGPT chatbot itself, not necessarily with its clients and stuff like that, because that's outside, the base chatbot itself. But anything that improves the chatbot itself, that improves Leo AI. So Leo doesn't have to do anything at the base of it, because that's every time, if there's a new version that comes out because OpenAI trains a new model and decides to upgrade their model, Leo AI automatically gets upgraded, at least the base section. The stuff that's trained on Leo stuff, well, that's real time anyway, from what we're told. So you add a thread right now, it's added.
Okay. Okay, Tiago, it's great to see initiatives like this with creativity to bring more interaction here. Yes, it is. And Sunseeker, I'm trying to think of questions, but I'm usually on the side of answering them. Okay, and you posted the Ask Leo thing. Oh, Sunseeker as well. What new use cases for threads have come up? I saw something about making one of the daily thread casts into a Quora with the Ask Leo tag. Do you know anything?
Well, I mean, that's seems to be the latest. There's now a movie one. I mean, it requires some innovation. I mean, Bradley Arrow and I can't remember the hashtag that they're working with, um, but I mean, there's a couple threadcasts where the ones who started Bradley Arrow with the meme, excuse me, with the selfie threadcast, they're looking at putting together a contest and doing some contests. I mean, these threadcasts can become communities themselves. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to innovate these things. It's just getting people to use them and excited about them and encouraged about them. And what this does, a lot of it is it gets a lot of this stuff off the latest feed and it puts it in the threadcast. So, people complained about, just music being put on there. Well, now if it's in the just in the threadcast, it's not on the main feed. It's not on the latest feed, which that cleans that up a little bit. But there's a lot of different ways to go about this and use cases. There's use cases from the community perspective, stuff we innovate. Then there's use cases in terms of features, the stuff the technical people develop. The only thing we can do with the technical stuff is use the feedback tag and send that through and hope Cal or the developer say, hey, that's a great idea, let's add it. And we need that. So if you have an idea of how to make these threadcasts, if there's something you want to see from a technical standpoint, do that. Send a feedback tag on the main feed and give the idea. If they can do it, they'll add it.
Okay. Oh, Sunseeker, how many recurrent threadcasts do we have now?
I don't know. I mean, it's.
I'm thinking at least 6, if not a few more.
There's more than that. The technology's up every day. Music's up every day. Sports is up every day. News is up every day. Selfies are up every day. Photography's up every day. That's 7 right there.
And then my motivation one is going to be.
So 8. And I'm sure I'm missing some. Oh, hi BR 9. I mean, we're up to 10 or 11. AI images is up most days. Foodcast is up pretty much every day.
The sports one.
Yeah, I said the sports. So we're up to 10 every day. And then you have during the week, we don't seem to have any on the weekends, but there seems to be some live broadcast, threadcast between the AMA, the Lions Den, Chain Chatter, this one. So there's a few of those being added. So we're doing pretty good with that, I think.
Yeah, that's some good consistency going on.
Yep.
Okay, Sunseeker, I'm helping compile any errors that still persist for the users. So remember, always use the tag feedback if you find one.
Yeah.
Cal also monitors it. Devs check it. The more detailed, the better. Always good to remind Lions about it because I sometimes see people saying something doesn't work without the tag. Yeah. So remember to use that feedback tag. Okay. That's great, or this is great. You said be sure to ask any questions or drop any comments in here. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, you might have to go back up to the top and refresh. See, there's stuff that I'm sure was added.
Yeah, I saw some stuff coming in. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Ahmad Manga. There are 14 threadcasts running right now. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I question how many of them are daily. There's a couple that aren't really daily. This one being
Right.
one. And there's another one up there that I don't know if it was a threadcast put up in error, but yeah. I mean, we're doing 14 at one time. No matter what they are related to is excellent. I think our record 17. I think we had that, or maybe it's 15. I forget what we had. So this is pretty good, and there's done one's being done every day. And what I was encouraged by is actually I got up this morning. I usually get up roughly around the same time, and when I log on, usually there's no threadcasts, and there was like 4 or 5 already up there. So
That is
I think
good.
it's starting to take hold a little bit, and I think people are starting to get used to them and get excited, and I think people are starting to find activity, and they're finding their niche. And you can go into the photocast, or you can go in the selfie threadcast and drop 20 selfies in a row. I mean, nobody cares, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, those Bradley's happy to have them. And so I think there's a lot of that. Then there's a lot of cross promotion or cross uh, threadcasting being done, because some technology news is also news on Leo. Can go into Lucille's, or sports news can also go into Lucille's news on Leo thing. So there's a lot of different things there. I think there's a lot of advantages to it.
Yeah, there is. Oh, 15 threadcasts, one by VSC doesn't show on the top yet, probably because there's not enough comments. Oh, Ahmad Manga. It'd be cool if you could ask Leo AI to give you a bunch of links of Hive articles that talk about one topic, so you can use them for internal links. A win-win situation.
I don't know how it's going to be broken up, or how that'll work, but Leo AI is trained on everything, so there should be some type of search. And again, I don't know what you'll need to prompt, but what's driven me batshit crazy is I've written about a topic, and I know I wrote about the topic. I know I wrote an article about it, and I go to Google and I go to search it, and it doesn't come up. And I know I wrote about it, and I can't remember exactly how I titled it, but I know where I wrote about this topic.
Right?
It's I tried different ways, nothing comes up. Hopefully, with Leo AI, that will not be the case. So if it can find my stuff based upon something I wrote, then I would believe that you could say something to the effect of, give me the five most popular articles based upon number of upvotes on Bitcoin, just as the way. And I'm just talking off the top of my head. I don't know. I don't have any inside info here, but again, some of these AI engines, they just give you the information.
Uh-huh.
Other AI engines give you the information, and then they'll give you like 5 articles that they pulled the information from. I don't use ChatGPT enough, and I'm certainly not a paid user of ChatGPT to know how they go about it and do everything. And of course, just because it's ChatGPT, that's the base language model. The small language model, what they program on the front end using the Hive data, that may give us links to the articles. I don't know. So, to be honest with you, Ahmed, that's a question for the AMA and Cal tomorrow, if you want a more
Right.
concise answer.
And then he goes on to say, Ahmad Manga says, I love how future oriented Kel is. He always makes me regain my confidence in Hive. And then Caleb at Taskmaster 4450 Ellie, please do you care for more tequila and frog legs? And at Winan, it doesn't deliver orders on time.
Caleb spent a little time in the foodie threadcast.
Nothing goes for nothing. Nothing is free. And you know that this is also from Caleb. You know that we fly through almost all the threadcasts at Taskmaster. Ellie has always pulled us along, and it's a pleasure as we have fun threadcasts.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Cal brings up a great point. So we talk a lot about numbers and content, but there's also engagement. It's also fun. It doesn't have to be all serious. Uh, it's like somebody posted a question, and it was about, or it was a thread about something, and they said, well, music is like a highlight of the human experience, and somebody else replied, well, movies are. And I just said, well, sex is kind of high on the list. And, just have fun.
Uh-huh.
It's like, just enjoy it. It's like, the foodie threadcast. It's like, I just one day went in there and said, like, can we have a food fight? Is that allowed? And, went on does very proper and very mature. And Callum Marvel and I, on the other hand, are neither. And so, we just go in there, goof off, and have fun, and throw pizza around or whatever, and throw up memes, throw up gifs, however you want to say it. I say gifs. Enjoy yourself. It's ask silly questions, ask serious questions. Make fun of Cal, Bradley Arrow. Um, you know, talk about Sunseeker, aka Bubbles. By the way, that's her nickname, and she does respond to it. Well, maybe she doesn't, but if enough people call her Bubbles, maybe she will. And she hasn't taken a bath since she was a baby. She said that. It's on the blockchain.
Okay.
See, you find out interesting stuff. Well, I did ask, one of the questions I asked is, do you take a bath or shower? Legitimate question. I'm not saying that she hasn't bathed in decades.
Right. Showers are my preference too, always
Yeah,
have.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if she just like, it's not like she just, well, it rains occasionally. I'll deal with it then. She bathes with an E on it. She just doesn't take a bath. These are things you can go back and forth and tease each other about and make fun about and talk about on broadcasts and whatnot. Talk about bald guys in sunglasses.
Okay, Caleb, I used to cover those space during the early hours of the day, but lately I dropped. I'm gonna start up my Swift more again. Let's see.
Yeah, it's the best time. This is a good point that he brings up. It seems, just looking at simple analytics and based upon our demographics, we have a big Nigerian community, obviously, and then you move west from there to South America and North America, which is in the same time zones, and obviously Europe would be included in that. We don't seem to have a lot from the east, the Far East.
Right.
We do have some from Australia, a few from Japan, and stuff like that. So what happens is, and you can see it drop off. I would say around 11 or 12 o'clock Nigerian time, which is about 5 in the afternoon my time, it drops because Nigerians are going to sleep. And then, of course, Europe is following the same path. And you just look at simple analytics and break it up on an hourly basis, and this is just how it goes. And so if you are setting up a threadcast and you want to get, and considering that they're only 12 hours now, you want to be in the window when most people are active. So if you are in Nigeria, you probably want to set it up within an hour or 2 hours, 3 hours of getting up. And if you're in Europe and you want to hit when the Nigerians are awake, you want the 12 hours in their time frame. And if you can get at least the Americas also, the North and South Americans. So that's why if you do it like maybe 3 hours in Nigeria after you wake up, that puts you in the sweet spot. If you post one at late at night in America, you're not going to get. I mean, you're burning up a lot of time. So until we get more cross section across the world, and we get people from Australia, we get more people from the Philippines, we get more, at least on Leo. Maybe they're on high, but at least
Uh-huh.
on Leo, then then maybe things work out a little differently.
Would it help, just a thought, would it help to have a like a post scheduler, or like a, you know, be able to schedule a threadcast ahead of time to go up at a certain time?
That will require a schedule, and that's been talked about in the past and maybe worked on. I mean, that's one of those technical things that certainly, I mean, in terms of viewing, let's say somebody woke up today and they're like, okay, I want to see what threadcasts are going to be set up. And let's say you last night set up the threadcast for today, or let's say you are posting one for today,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't necessarily set up the threadcast, but you put it on the schedule. Then people could see, oh, at 2 o'clock there's a broadcast. Oh, okay, cool. I can fit that in. I'm not going to be at work. So some of that in terms of the broadcast might help. Some of that might help. But again, now you're into the technical situation, so it has technical requirements, and then how do you frame it, and how do you prevent it from being abused? And there's an assortment of questions that
Right. Yeah.
go into all this crap. But again, to me, it's still a proof of concept. Let's keep building threadcasts. Let's keep getting them up there every day. When threadcasts are up there, and you see threadcasts 100 days, 200 days, 150 days. When you see threadcasts with 3, 4, 500 comments under them, and they're very popular, then we can start to make the case to Cal, and he's aware of it. He sees all that's up there. He stops by the website, for Pete's sake. Then we can start to say, hey, this is something that's become an essential premise of Leo. Let's focus a hell of a lot more attention. And then our requests are taken a lot more seriously.
Right. That only makes sense. Why should they work on something that's not?
Well, he's done that a lot, and then all of a sudden we need this, we need this, we need this, and nobody ever uses it.
Okay, hoping from Caleb, hoping for the party room to bring up a live streaming like this. Your television is just like the cinema screen at Taskmaster. Oh, and then Ahmad Manga, when Leo AI.
Ahmad, put that one on tomorrow's AMA. Put it in capital letters. Use the single hashtag. Make it bold. Ask it 6 times.
Caleb, we should be looking at the long videos any moment from now.
Yeah, I mean, we see it in the posting. The writer, it's there. It's grayed out, but it's there. I've shared in threads. They have a test account, and I forget the name of it now. Maybe called test account. I don't even remember, or Leo Tester maybe. But I've seen them testing it and putting up test videos. But as I said, for whatever reason, I mean, you can go and grab this 3Speak URL and put it, and it'll work in threads. It just gives you 2, one on top of each other. I don't know why it does that, but at least it's working now. It wasn't working, a few weeks ago. So you can embed 3Speak videos into your posts or into your threads. The problem is you get 2 on top of each other, one on top of each other. So they're working on it. I don't know how soon, but Cal did say that would probably be live before the short, before the thread. And he thought it might be live last Tuesday. I guess they've ran into problems because it's now 6 days later, and we still don't have it as far as I know.
I haven't seen anything.
No.
And the Ahmad Manga, I think INLEO would release the shorts first. Leo AI feels like more steps behind than Leo Shorts, which it seems is being tested right now.
Well, but keep in mind, Leo AI is constantly evolving. They could set up the recommend for the For You. They could set up the client that helps you with your posts, and not include obviously not include the recommend for Leo Shorts if you don't have Leo Shorts, or have the prompting. They can stage that out too. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know what the schedule is, so. And I don't think Cal does. To be honest with you, Cal's probably gonna, if he's honest, it says whatever we get working first,
Right.
whatever proves itself to be sound first and meets our requirements for least amount of bugs, we'll release that. And I don't have labs anymore, so I mean a lot of this stuff could be on labs and we don't know. So I mean it's
Okay. Well, that's it for the questions and comments. We got through all of them.
so
Thanks,
nothing else
everybody.
to add.
Thanks, everybody, for showing up today and asking your questions and putting in your comments. And after I'm done here, I'm going to go and try again to put up the motivation. The motivation thread can't. Well, I might be. No, it's still too early to do it in this account. I'm going to go and put it in the other account like I was going to do anyway.
Yeah, one thing, and I don't. I'll throw out this suggestion. I do the same. I do the regular technology threadcast. Then I use my other account for the Lions Den, and you both have the same icon. And I know that's a little confusing to people, but I'm not really that worried about it because the Lions Den is only once a week.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing different different threadcasts, if you're doing, let's say, 2 a day, you got to use 2 different accounts because, as I've said before, if not, you put up the first threadcast, the second you put up the second threadcast, the first icon is tied to your second threadcast. So you don't want to do that. You got to use 2 different accounts. And I would suggest having 2 different icons out of each one. So because people get used to seeing it. So when I see Bradley Arrow's ugly mug up there, I know that's a selfie. When I see Sergio Mendez profile up there, I know that's the photocast. You get used to it. So
Uh-huh.
again, if you're doing 2, make sure you have different icons in addition to different accounts.
Right.
Just so
Yeah, I
people
do.
get used to when they see that icon up there, it's like, oh, okay, that's this, and they dive right in.
Okay, well, good talk. Thank you, Task, for coming on today.
All right, everybody.
Have a good week, and we'll see you on the AMA tomorrow, I guess, huh?
Well, I'll be in the threadcast. I'm not going to be on the broadcast. That's not
Okay.
mine.
Okay. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.